Good morning. Are you ready to conquer fear once and for all? If so, then you showed up to the right place here today. Overcoming and conquering fear is something that I have studied intensely because of my having to mentor and train CEOs and entrepreneurs and helping them realize their inner potential and achieve their big ideas. So over the next 5 sessions, I'm going to show you how to, once and for all, face down the fears that might be holding you back from the results, the success, and the life that you were meant to live. The first thing to know is this: fear is not real. Sure, it feels real. The pounding heart, the knocking knees, the sweaty palms, those are real symptoms. But the thing we're actually afraid of is an illusion. It's a complete invention of the mind. Ultimately, a spider can't make you scared. A prospecting call can't make you scared. The only thing that can make you scared is how your mind interprets those things. Fear is a phenomenon that resides entirely within your own brain. It is the mind that gives every interpretation meaning. It is your mind that conjures the negative emotion. Fear itself doesn't actually exist. This is why one person can look over the edge of a cliff and be gripped by fear of heights, while another finds great joy in cliff diving or jumping out of an airplane. The reality is the same, but the mind's interpretation and the emotion that it generates are different. Two people could be looking at the same dog. Let's say it's a German Shepherd, sitting there quietly. One person sees it and interprets it as a threat, a potential danger, and feels fear. The other person sees the dog and interprets it as affection, tenderness, and protection. Instead of fear, this person feels love. Same dog, one that's just sitting there minding its own business, by the way, but two wildly different interpretations and emotional responses, all generated exclusively by the mind. Why is this? What's happening here? Well, for much of our existence, we had some serious stuff to fear. Lions and cougars hiding in the bush, leopards stalking from the trees, even attacks from neighboring tribes. With danger lurking behind every corner, it was the humans with the brains that had monitored and most quickly responded to threats who survived and then reproduced. The fearless, well, they became lunch. As species, we became really good at identifying threats and then responding to them. If you've considered modern times the last 6,000 years, that is still only 3% of the total time our nervous system has been operating under this hypersensitive flight or fight response system. If you were slow on the threat sensing, you were lunch. The stakes were high by necessity. Today, we are not under the same sort of constant mortal threat in our day-to-day environment, but much of our primitive brain is still here, operating at full throttle. It's still doing its job, triggering the same nervous system responses to threats. The only problem is now, instead of lions and cougars and leopards, our nervous system is triggering the same responses when we look at a telephone before making a prospecting call or standing in front of a small group to give a presentation. This is why we have disproportionate fear responses to inane modern activities. We're using a primitive tool to run a modern day life. That means it's time to update your operating system, or at least hijack it with a workaround. The first thing to do is this: get real. That means get a grip, gain proper perspective. You want to separate reality from fantasy. Look, man, it's not a lion, it's a phone. If you dial it and the other person answers it, they can't eat you, right, Mark? If you stand in front of a small group, they're not going to pillage your village. If you stand alone on stage to give a presentation, the audience is not going to attack you. You are in no mortal danger. A good question to ask yourself before doing anything you think you fear is, if I do this, am I going to die? If the answer is no, then your fear is made up, grossly over dramatic, and should have no power over you. If you get a grip and take back over the reins. So let's clear this one up once and for all. Tell us in the comments below, what is one thing that you have feared that you now, after asking yourself the question, if I do this, am I going to die? You realize maybe your ancient brain has overplayed it a bit. And now you're gonna cowboy up and go for it. I look forward to seeing who's gonna strap on their chaps in the comments below.